All right. Welcome, everyone. We are just going to give it a few minutes. We've got some people trickling in. So sit tight for just a minute or two, and we will get started with our commencement webinar. All right, 6:02 I think is fair. We'll get people coming in, of course, afterwards. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by sharing a PowerPoint that I have for us today. All right, Jeff, that's showing full screen, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, perfect. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know it's Wednesday evening and people have got things going on, but we're here to try and help make sure you know what's going on for commencement. I am, oh, helps if I'm on the slides. I am one of your commencement co-chairs. My name is Mark Yeager. I'm an event manager in the Office of the President. I've been with Ithaca College this will be my second year, but I was working at Cornell doing event management for them for 8 years prior to that. And then with me is Jeff, and I will let him introduce himself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeff Golden. I'm Associate Vice President for Auxiliary Services. I've been with the college like 8 years now, and I'm on maybe my eighth commencement, which I guess in this group makes me the old timer. I've seen a bunch of these and a bunch of different versions, and so hopefully I have all the answers to all the questions you might have.
All right. So tonight we're going to do a quick run through of, everything we consider to be kind of the high bullet points for commencement. Kind of the FAQ that we do have a mixed audience, so either parents or students might want to know. We will be answering questions at the end. Because this is a webinar format, you're not able to talk just because there's 100 people on, but you should have access to a Q&A section where you can put in any questions you want to have. So we will run through a lot of info, but if at any point questions pop up or you think of something, go ahead and put it in that Q&A section, and we will get to it at the end of our presentation. All right. So, also, if at any time outside of this webinar you're looking for information, we highly recommend that you check our website at ithaca.edu/commencement. There's a lot of info on there. And if you're ever looking to just get a quick answer to a specific question, email us. We're easy to reach. I'm checking that inbox pretty much daily at commencement@ithaca.edu. So, first things up, the schedule for commencement weekend. These are what we consider to be the three main commencement events. So, if you are the parent or student participating in the graduate hooding and commencement ceremony, this is graduate students only. That is Saturday, May 16th at 1 p.m. And then that evening, we have a free commencement eve concert for anyone. Parents, students, community members. No tickets required, no cost, no RSVPs, no limits to how many people can show up. It's a really impressive three-stage ensemble uh, act that's followed by fireworks. So if you're around and free Saturday night, we highly recommend that you come to that because it's a great time. And then what probably most of you are here for is our undergraduate commencement ceremony, which is Sunday, May 17th at 10 a.m. And these are all in the Glazer Arena located in our athletic and events center. Now, one little plug, there are lots of other activities leading up to these events that are part of what's called Senior Week. We do not actually organize those events, nor do we have a lot of insight to them. Those are actually organized by the senior class themselves. So if you have a question related to your student attending the jump in the fountain or a picnic or something that they're doing as part of that ramp up, we recommend that you reach out to the senior class directly at icseniorclass@ithaca.edu. A couple timing details for guests. The doors to all of the events listed here open up 1 hour ahead of time. And the seating is all first come, first serve. So, depending on your needs and desire to get up front, you may want to come an hour early or you may want to come 15 minutes early. That's up to you. Students, we really recommend that they get there no later than 45 minutes before the start time, but an hour plus is not a bad thing. We have staff on hand to answer any questions they may have and to help get them ready for the actual ceremony. So, before your students can participate in the event, they have to register. Registration is done through a software called Tassel. By now, every student of any parent who is on this call would have received an invitation to sign up for Tassel. It was an email sent directly to eligible students. So they have received it. Tassel is where your students can RSVP to participate. It's where they can determine the name that will be announced and used during the ceremony. It's where they can get tickets for mom and dad and, various other family members. Review key info just to make sure they know what to do the day of. It lets us communicate with them should something change. And it's what generates what's called a grad pass, which is the technology we use to, they basically get a QR code scanned, and that's what announces their name as they go across the go across the stage. So registering in Tassel, very, very important, because if they don't do that, they can't basically access all these key components for the ceremony. The deadline to register for Tassel is April 14th, and that is a hard date set by Tassel itself. Their systems close, and we can no longer record and submit new names after that. So it's very important that any students who are on here or parents talking to students, let them know that if they haven't done it, they need to do it. It is, of course, also how you get your tickets, and it's how you get that grad pass to let you walk. So super important that they do that. So one question that's been coming up a lot is we have two different names in play. There's what's called a diploma name and a ceremony name. A diploma name is the name that a student is going to see on their actual diploma, and that is something that is on record with the registrar's office. All right, that'll be what's printed on their diploma and on the program that is present at the ceremony. This is not what will be announced when they walk across the stage. That is their ceremony name. Their ceremony name they can set to be whatever they want as they register in Tassel, and it will not impact what appears on their diploma. So I'm a terrible example because my name is Mark and you don't ever do anything with Mark, but Jeff, he may have a diploma name of Jeffrey. If he goes into Tassel, he can tell Tassel that he wants to be announced as Jeff when he walks across the stage. Tassel will do that. So when you're at the ceremony, we'll hear Jeff Golden, but his diploma name will still say Jeffrey Golden. So it's really important to know those distinctions if you have a student with nicknames or something like that. And this is kind of the differentiation between the two. When your students are in tassel, after they indicate what they want their ceremony name to be, they will be asked how to pronounce it. And so they'll be able to give a phonetic spelling of their name to make sure they get it right. I know a lot of people are worried about, is it going to pronounce my name right? And they have an option to put in their phonetic spelling. Once that's in, an AI generated recording will let them hear what AI thinks that phonetic spelling sounds like. They'll have an opportunity to listen to it. If it doesn't sound right, they can basically tell the system to retry I think it's 2 times. And after 2 attempts, if it's still wrong, the system will say, okay, great, you just record how your name is pronounced. And then that will get recorded, and it will be re-recorded by professional voice readers so that your student's correct name is announced as they go across the stage, and it won't be weird because it will be the same voices that are reading out everybody else's names. It won't be all of a sudden in the middle of all these names you hear your kid's name from your kid's voice. So it'll all be consistent. And then this pronunciation will be linked to their grad pass. So again, they'll get a QR code that during the ceremony they will get scanned, and that will be the keys for when they walk across the stage. That QR code will talk to our system, and that recording that they approved in tassel will be announced for the whole gym to hear. Tassel is also where you get tickets, and I know this is a question that everybody is asking about. One thing we need to stress: tickets are only in play on the Sunday undergraduate ceremonies. As I said, the concert does not require tickets and has no limit to who comes. The same is true of the graduate hooding ceremony. The number of students at grad hooding is probably closer to 200 or 300. And the number of graduates at undergrad is closer to 1,000. So we have much less visitors and family members joining us for that grad hooding, so we don't need to supply tickets. Undergrad, we have to do tickets because we have a capacity that we usually do hit for that Sunday event. So this is an example of what the ticket's going to look like. It's very simple, and it's generated, again, through Tassel. And that is the only way that it is generated. There's not a will call station somewhere that you can go up to day of. There's no other place on campus that sells these. They have to come through Tassel. So if you do not have tickets, talk to your student and make sure they secure them through Tassel. The tickets are student owned. And when I say owned, our policy is that we only provide these tickets to students. We do not respond to individuals who email us out of the blue and say, hey, my kid's graduating, can I get 4 tickets? Because I don't know that this is your kid. I don't know if they want to use their tickets for whoever you are. If you could say you're their best friend. This is just a way to make sure I'm not inadvertently giving away tickets I shouldn't be. So if you are needing tickets, talk to your student. Your student can always email us at commencement@ithaca.edu and give us permission to deal with a parent or family member. We don't want to assume anything. So please talk to them. The big question is number. How many tickets do we get? So we guarantee every student who participates 4. The caveat to that is they must register and claim those 4 tickets before that registration deadline of April 14th. If they do not, those 4 tickets will be substitute or sorry, forfeit. Um, so 4 tickets minimum as long as they hit their deadline. After that, we basically pool up whatever tickets are remaining, and we will run a second round of ticket distribution through Tassel at a first come, first serve basis. This way, any student who's really kind of paying attention, they will get communication letting them know, hey, log into Tassel for your second attempt at tickets, and they can get up to 4 more after that deadline of 414. We cap it at an additional 4 to prevent hoarding and to give everybody a fair chance at getting additional tickets. In my experience, after that first round, there's somewhere in the 1,000 to 1,500 tickets remaining, and we've never had a problem with people getting the tickets that they need additionally. So it's not a it's not a Beyonce concert. We're not selling out in 2 seconds. It's usually not a problem, but we do it in these stages just to avoid, like I said, people over consuming tickets. This way, everybody gets a fair shake. These tickets are general admission, so there are no reserved seats, there are no assigned seats, and they are not tied to any particular individual. If you get a ticket and you intend it for Uncle Tom can't make it. We don't care if you give that ticket to Uncle Dave instead. As long as you've got the tickets, we're happy to let whoever is holding them in on the day of the event. And if for some reason you cannot secure enough tickets, or maybe you just don't want to squeeze into a gym with thousands and thousands of people, we do have remote viewing areas set up on campus in our campus center. I know it doesn't sound awesome to not be in the main event, but especially if you have kids, like little kids, it's not bad because these are areas with tables and more comfortable seating. They're near, vending machines and restrooms, and I think is Ithaca Bakery open for this, Jeff?
It
I
is,
don't know.
yeah. Well, there's food, the pool tables are there, the viewing areas are actually kind of great.
Yeah. So if that's something you would consider, those are options we have available as well. No tickets required for those. You just show up. Once your students have claimed their tickets, there's a couple additional steps in Tassel that they're going to need to do. It's going to remind them to order their regalia, secure their grad pass, and if they want, do a thank you slide. So the regalia is what's commonly known as a cap and gown. For graduate students, they need a hood as well. These are required to participate. We cannot have a student show up the day of with nothing and think they can walk in street clothes or something like that. They will be turned away whether they have tickets or not. Fortunately, though, these are available for purchase right now at the campus store, either online or in person. Your students can either pick them up right there because they are in the store, or if needed, they can be shipped. But yeah, they're available at the store. Students can walk in. You, mom, dad, you could go online and order them for your student if you wanted and have them pick it up in the store. There's many options. Jeff?
Mark, can I, just while we're on this, can I jump in here?
Of
As
course.
like campus store, Jeff. Uh, Keep in mind, especially for students who are on here, probably more so than perhaps their parents. Regalia, as you're no doubt aware, extends to other things beyond just cap and gown. Cap and gown are the things you need in order to walk. Like that's what you got to have. But many of you are going to want to have additional regalia that are attached to all the cool things you did over your career at IC. Most of the optional stuff, honor societies, stuff may be attached to a job that you did, or a particular student club or organization that you're involved with. A lot of that optional stuff is going to come either some versions of it through the store, and you'll see in the store the things that you can get from the store that may be optional or attached to your personal experience. Other stuff is maybe going to be attached to the club or organization that you came through. If you're an athlete, that's something you're going to get from athletics, not necessarily from us. If it's an honor society, it's something you're going to get from them. If it's attached to your job, it's something that you're going to get from them. So it's important to be aware, for those of you who are students, that there is some variety in how you might get that additional regalia. So have your kind of head on a swivel for what is available in the store. And if it's one of those things doesn't apply to you, you probably need to check with the group that you're sort of like thinking that you'd have expected to get regalia from. The important caveat to all of that is if we're talking about true honor cords, like ones attached to your academic performance, those are going to be distributed through the store, but they really come from the registrar. Mark and I don't decide whether or not your grades were good enough. And so it's the registrar who has a process that's attached to your grade point average, and they will communicate to the store, um, hey, these are the folks that earned chord X, Y, or Z. And so you will receive communications from them about how to pick them up. But all of that is a registrar process first. So if you have a specific question, or if you think, hey, maybe I'm not sure, am I going to be a this or a that, or I'm on the line or whatever, the right folks to talk to about it are the registrar, because they're really the ones compiling that. If you ask us an email, we will get back to you, and we're going to tell you, hey, by the way, check with the registrar. So just an important reference there.
No, great point, Jeff. Thank you. So other than regalia, uh, the tassel system will also contain their grad pass. And I'm just reiterating this because this is incredibly important. They need to have this on the day of graduation. Family, you all are getting tickets. Your students have their grad pass. It can be printed, it can be on their phone, but they need to log into Tassel after they complete the registration to access it. And again, this is what's tied to their name. This is what lets them walk across the stage. And we will have people on site to check and make sure that they have that ready so that they're good to go when their big moment comes. Also within Tassel, there is an optional area to create a thank you slide. It's basically a rotating PowerPoint that we have on during the pre-event kind of seating moments. And your students can upload an image and a 150 word message. I do go through all of them to make sure they are appropriate. I have yet to find anything that's inappropriate, but if one is deemed inappropriate, it will be removed. But they're generally just nice, hey, thanks, mom and dad, we did it kind of messages. And so if they choose to upload those, they will be doing that here, and we will populate them into that slideshow for like the first hour before the ceremony starts. So once they do that, what's next? Your students will have to complete a couple of acknowledgments before they're officially done with Tassel, just making sure they understand kind of the rules and regulations, terms and conditions type of thing. They will get a confirmation email saying they have completed their registration in Tassel. At this point, once they've gotten the confirmation email, they are able to log back into Tassel, get their grad pass, and distribute their tickets. So they have to log into Tassel after they're done, and they'll see it. Each ticket is like its own little window in this menu, and each ticket can be sent individually to different email addresses. So whether they're all going to the same family member for distribution, whatever, that's up for your student to decide, but they'll want to see this confirmation email that lets them know to go back in and take care of this stuff. Once registration closes on April 14th, your students will be getting additional communication, and parents will be sending out reminders to you too about the upcoming, ceremony and some of the details to know about the day of. As I said, after that registration, we will announce the additional round of tickets, and that'll stay open basically until we run out of tickets or the ceremony happens, whichever comes first. I'm pretty sure we didn't run out of tickets last year, so that'll be where your kids can claim additional tickets. We'll be sending out a number of reminders just to keep everybody straight on when to report where and what to bring and what to keep in mind. And then we get to the day of the ceremony. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to talk about some of the things you might want to know about for the ceremony. And I will keep driving this, Jeff, but you take the lead.
Sure. Before I think we get right into day of, I think it's important that we talk about like maybe the last piece or probably the first piece of advanced work that you would need to do, and that's traveling to the area for the ceremony. In many cases, family members are going to be coming from a little distance, a great distance, right? There's a whole vast spectrum of folks who are going to travel to Ithaca for the day of. Um, Ithaca's only so big. It only fits so many people in so many hotels, and so this is always one of those like kind of tricky, kind of logistical hurdles to get over in order to celebrate the day. Um, Many of you here who are parents, and probably some of you who have students, have maybe already thought about this. You'd be shocked how many like first year students reach out to us to ask about like how to get commencement day reservations 4 years from then. If you have not already made your reservations or figured out what your travel plan is, we would encourage you to like get right on it. The Visit Ithaca webpage, which is really like a product of the Tompkins County Chamber of Commerce and the Visit Ithaca Visitors Bureau, is a great resource. If things seem already booked up, we would encourage you to get creative, look a little bit around, check into other options. Elmira and Binghamton are not really so far away. They have areas nearby. You'll find some smaller kind of bedroom community towns in the nearby, many of which have available hotels. The commutes on them in some cases may be less than ideal, but most of them aren't like break the bank impossible. And so if you're still looking for options, I'm confident that there are out there, but now would be a really good time to get on it if you still have questions on that front. All right, so that's kind of our last piece of advanced work. Talking about the day of, what's it going to look like? The first sort of hurdle anybody's going to get into is like how to get to the arena, right? And so if you're a guest, a parent, family member, or maybe even a student who's coming from off campus or something, parking is going to be your first challenge. As with any campus or any finite space, parking is limited. There are only so many spots. We do have some guided parking recommendations, and as Mark was talking about, additional communications that come out, they'll continue to get more and more specific the closer that we get to the event. And so we would encourage you to keep your eye on it if you're a student for things that you're going to need to know because your experience is going to be different than your family's about how you get to the arena, but also parents and supporters should keep an eye on it. What we're going to tell you in those is that there is parking, that there are a series of parking lots around campus. All of them have a designation attached to it. There's a letter attached to the lot. And so it would be important for you to check out the map function at Ithaca College. If you Google the Ithaca College map, you'll get an interactive map so you can familiarize yourself with the various lots around campus because our instructions to you will give you our best recommendations around the ones that are close. A and M lot, which are closest to A and E, are going to be the ones that fill up the fastest. They're also the ones that kind of have sort of a one road in, one road out scenario in order to get to them. And so the backup of traffic as people are trying to get to those lots can be a place where you might have a small wait while you wait for traffic to deal with it. If you are in a position where you can maybe walk, then I think it would be a good idea. Just Jeff's 2 cents on like how best to plan your day. If you are in a position where you are fairly mobile and you can maybe hike a little bit, then I would encourage you to make a plan that involves something like J lot across campus or F lot across campus. They're not the end of the world, but they're just on the other side of campus. If you can utilize those lots, you'll probably have a less stressful day trying to get into parking, and for sure a less stressful experience trying to get back out at the end of the day. Almost all of that advice is really truly about Sunday. For the Saturday events, whether it's grad hunting or whether it's the commencement eve concert, parking is not nearly as troublesome. And so if you're here to ask questions or hear information about the Saturday events, be at ease. They won't really be as hard. If you're here for Sunday, it will be a battle royale. Good luck. Um, but everyone will be fine. We have parking attendants across campus all morning long who are directing folks and giving them guidance and letting them know, hey, maybe a lot is full now. That is not the right place. Now is the best place to turn around and go elsewhere. And you'll hear this from me probably at least a couple of times. I would encourage you as you're making your plan to be honest with yourself about your resources and capabilities and what makes sense for you and your family and your specific circumstances, and to start planning around them now. If you think you can hike a little bit, then probably start there and work your way to the arena. If, on the other hand, maybe you have a family member coming who has a mobility issue, or if you need specific handicap accessible parking or access to the building, we for sure have that as an option. All of that really happens on the east side of the building. And so when we talk about the A&E Center, which is largely oriented north and south, there's sort of an east entrance and a west entrance. Um, the east entrance, for those of you who may have been to the A&E Center before, is the one that sort of has the traffic circle drive up option for it. Um, all of our handicap parking that is available is located on the east side of the building in what is called M lot. Um, there is a process on the commencement webpage, which Mark alluded to in maybe the first slide or so, for those who maybe need assistance in their parking, need to be able to park closer, but maybe don't have like a state issued handicap permit. You can request one from us, and we will email you that and a document to put like on your dash so that you can park in that area. Our Office of Public Safety personnel will be along the way. So if you have questions, you're in the middle of a line trying to go here, and hey, where can I go? I'm trying to do this. They will for sure be able to guide you along the way. But that sort of mobility and handicap accessible parking is all going to happen on the east side of the building. That is the ground floor of the A&E Center. So it's also really the best entrance. The reason we use it for that is because it's at that level that you can more or less come right from the parking lot and right into the arena floor. And so particularly if you have a guest who maybe is in a wheelchair or who will need some kind of seating accommodation, that is for sure the best place to come is from the east side of the building. Ushers will be present in the building as you come in. Um, we expect that we will have instances like this where we need to help. All of the floor seating is sort of temporary seating that's set up for the day of. They're simple chairs that they're sort of just sort of locked together with clasps, and so it's very easy for us to take a couple of chairs out to make room to accommodate a wheelchair or something like that. We do it all the time. It's a totally normal thing. All we would ask that you do is plan if as much as you can to come in on that east side so that you're already on the right level, though there is an elevator in the building if you end up on the other side. And then grab an usher and they'll help you to a seat. We try wherever possible to make sure that those um, seating accommodations happen in aisles and corners of rows and things like that, where it's easy to sort of get a guest in, that they're not having to have their experience being any more or less difficult than it will be throughout the event, which does take some time. And so we do our best to try to make it work. We have a pretty limited number of wheelchairs that are available to bring guests from the parking lot, maybe a guest who has a mobility issue but is not actually in a chair. We have a limited number of chairs that we can sort of lend out in the moment to get folks around. And so while we do try to anticipate that as a possibility, we also encourage guests wherever they can to make their own plan in the moment, because it's entirely possible that if you happen to show up, that chair is already in use. So we'll do what we can, and we'll communicate with you in the day about what our availability is in that moment. But if you can make your own plan, do it'll probably work better for you in the long run. When you get to the arena, all guests will go through some type of security screening. That includes not only parents and supporters and folks who are coming from the day to celebrate their students, but also students. And so expect that as part of the process. It does sort of lead to a lengthened process. We understand that, but it's also for the safety of all of our guests. There are some items that we would prefer that you not bring, but then there are some of those that are okay. Small purses and things like that are okay. If you've brought like the world's largest handbag, at times probably our folks in public safety will ask you questions about it. There are some guidelines on the website that you'll find around photography equipment. We expect that people will want to take pictures. Um, but like if you've got like the giant telephoto lens and you're standing in everybody's way trying to get that one perfect picture or whatever, we'll probably ask you to consider the other guests in the moment and try to do something smaller. So again, encourage you to go to the website where all that stuff is spelled out. If you have questions in advance, feel free to email them to us. Um, we do our best to get back to folks with specific questions or just general ones. Um, it is a busy day. There's going to be a lot of people in attendance. We try as much as possible to be accommodating and know that everybody's trying to have a great day. And when everybody tries to have a great day all at the same time, sometimes it means that we're all in each other's way. As much as possible, we try to adopt a sort of be cool approach to our communications with our guests and encourage them to remember that everybody else who's there is also trying to have a great day and that their experience shouldn't get in anybody else's way. If we have problems, it's pretty rare, in fact, vanishingly so, that we do reserve the right to remove folks if we get into a real problem. But it's been years since that happened. Everybody on this call is for sure a super polite and considerate individual, and we're not going to have problems with any of you. And so I'm confident everyone will have just the best day ever. Having said that, once you get into the arena, you're going to find that it is totally like a Beyonce concert. Mark's completely wrong. It is like going to sell out in seconds. There will be lots of people, as you can see in this picture here. For all intents and purposes, you have two different types of seating. And Mark alluded to this earlier, that the tickets for guests are general admission. And so this is another place where, for those of you who are real planners, this is a place to start thinking about this. The seating on the floor will get you a more direct access, maybe to your student as they're processing. It might give you some maybe a little bit closer perspective on the stage, and such as it is. But it's also like a floor concert in a big arena, and so there are a lot of people down there trying to do the same thing, and all the seats will be moving around. There are cameras. There will be some obstructions in terms of our own cameras, which are filming the live stream, which will be taking place at the event, as well as cameras for the audio-visual experience in the arena, right? There's big screens there to make it easier for everybody to see. So down on the floor, you might be a little closer to the action. You might be in the action. Whether or not you think that's the right experience for you is sort of in the eye of the beholder. There are bleachers, and so some folks prefer to kind of go right for the bleachers. You're a little bit up out of the melee in terms of being down on the floor. And so like for some folks that is convenient, some folks that's more comfortable. It gives them a little bit of remove from everything that's going on, but maybe you're not into that. Maybe you want to be right down where the action is. I'm not going to tell you which one I think you ought to do or not do. I'm just going to tell you that those are kind of roughly your two experiences. And now would be a good time to start plotting which one you think is maybe the right one for you. And so you're informed and you have your kind of expectations set around what it's going to look like on game day. In terms of how to get in, we talked a little bit about guests, and we'll come back to that again. Students, those of you who are students on the call, are going to come to the north side of the arena. So that's the loading dock, i.e. the side kind of facing the garden apartments, if you will. Students, and we'll give you more specific direction when we get closer to game day. Students are going to come in from that north side. Ultimately, you'll get organized into something resembling a line. And so as we bring you in, you process through, and the pomp and the circumstance and all that fun stuff, all that's going to start out there on that side of the arena. Guests, on the other hand, are going to come through the exact opposite, through the southern end of the arena and through the two principal entrances, the west side and the east side. For all intents and purposes, the east side, as I mentioned, is sort of the drive-up side. The west side is the one that faces into campus. And so for guests who are maybe parking further away or expecting to walk up and through, that west side is likely going to be where you come from. When you came to Ithaca College to take a tour 4 years ago or whatever, if you came to an open house and you exited probably out the west entrance at A&E to go towards the campus center and the fitness center and the upper quads and all that good stuff. Both entrances are really busy in terms of the getting folks in and out. There will be security at both, doing the gate check and the bag check, as we talked about. The west entrance tends to be a little bit busier, just because once parking is kind of full on the east side, there you kind of run out of reasons to be there. But both of them will be busy, and so your experience at both will be largely the same. For those of you who are students on the call who weren't listening closely enough to the north side, go to the north side. If you go to the east side or the west side as though you were a guest, or if you just come wandering in and that's the one you go to all the time whenever you go to A&E, we're going to tell you to leave and go back all the way around the building. So now's the time to internalize. Like, those entrances are not for you. You have to go to the north side. That's the right place for a student to go. Your life will only be incrementally harder if you don't listen to me now. I promise you. Let's see. Seating I kind of went over already. The first come first serve thing is important, which something as Mark has alluded to, and I think probably all of you get that. Where I would maybe shape that in terms of talking to my enthusiastic planning friends, if it really makes a huge difference to you to have premium seating, or if you have a bunch of guests who are coming and you want to all sit together, this is going to shape when the right time is to show up. The doors will open, I think Mark said, an hour before the event. Doors on Sunday will open at 8 a.m., not 9 a.m. Doors open at 8. If like where exactly you sit makes all the difference in the world to you, then that is probably a reason to think about how early you're going to get to the arena. If you really don't care and you're just looking to have a good day and have it not ruin your day, then that's cool. Like, the show starts at 10, the doors open at 8, you got 2 hours to figure out what works for you. So now is as good a time as any to start planning how these things matter to you and what makes the most sense, and like how you think that should shape your day. Once we get to Sunday, we can offer you guidance, but we won't at that point really have any rules around what is or what isn't right. It's all right. It's all in the eye of the beholder, and it's your day at that point to do with what you will. We'll help as we can, but if you show up at 10 o'clock, the seats are going to be largely full or whatever, right? So all in the eye of the beholder, I'm confident you'll all figure it out. Next slide, if you will, please, Mark. All right, what happens in the ceremony? This whole list of things you see here is, in fact, last year's flow of show. Well, I think without any changes, if I'm not wrong. So the important takeaways here are that it's a ceremony. There are some parts of it that are meant to be ceremonial. It's meant to acknowledge the really, I think, important and kind of awesome undertaking that all of our students have done to finish this part of their academic careers. So there are some parts about it that take time. That procession takes time. There's a process to it, including the student part, the faculty part, our staff part, the platform party, the speakers, all of those things. They will all take time. In the context of the operations of the day, getting people in and out, keep in mind that once the processional starts, sections of the arena will no longer be available because we'll have people moving through them. And so that's another thing to think about as you're trying to plot out your day. If you want to be in place in order to be able to see everything that happens as part of that processional, then you have to be in place early enough. If you're just trying to get to your seat at 10 o'clock, we're going to start and the students are going to start walking. And once they start walking, you may not be able to get across traffic until they're done in order to find additional seats. So again, just things to think about. I'm not trying to scare you about how the day goes. I'm trying to be honest about what you're going to find on the day. In terms of the remarks and speeches and all the things that folks will have to say, those things will all happen. They'll all go. They take as long as they take. But where we really are going to get into the meat of the event will be when your students are crossing the stage, right? So that last bit down towards the bottom, that name reading and stage procession. That's when your student is going to go up in their various schools. They're going to cross the stage. Well, not in their various schools. Go up with the folks in their seating areas to cross the stage and have their name read. For students who are in attendance, that's where like your grad pass is really going to get serious. If you don't have that, it's going to start a whole process, traffic jam at the ramp. You don't really want that. We don't really want that. Don't lose your grad pass. Don't screw it up. In terms of guests and parents and supporters, it's important to note here, again, in terms of planning your day, your students are going to sit more or less at random with their friends. They're going to come in together. They're going to try to sit with all their friends. That's going to ideally make the best possible experience for them while they're going through this. But it also means that I have absolutely no idea when they're going to cross the stage, and neither does Mark. Neither does any of the ushers. We're not going to know that. Your student's not going to know that. And so this is a place where communicating with your student in advance is a really important piece of it. Having them let you know, students who are here, this is a place where, like, if mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, whatever, are super focused on like being aware of like when you're going to happen, you got to tell them that. If you're sitting way in the back and it's going to be last, then like they have time to use the bathroom or go check out, buy flowers or whatever. If you're in the front, maybe they don't, and that's something where you'll need to be aware of that and let them know in advance. Parents, we'll do what we can to keep you informed in the moment, but it's going to probably be a version of this speech where I say, I don't know where your student is sitting. And so they'll come through when they come through. And so prepare yourself for that now. Keep that communication line open with your student, and you'll be fine on the day of. Everything will go great. At the end of the ceremony is a recessional, right, where everybody leaves. So keep in mind, after the confetti cannons have gone off, sorry, spoiler alert, there's a confetti cannon. After the confetti cannons have gone off, there's still like a little bit of ceremony. And so in terms of just a base crowd management thing, expect that we'll have folks in the arena, just like you would at a big football game or a concert or whatever, people in yellow vests, maybe asking you to stay in your seat or hold where you are, or just to give us space to make sure that we can get everybody out. And then at that point, we'll be there to give you additional information about how to stay safe or direct you to where the next event might be, or to the exits, or wherever it may need to get to next. All right. Services. I alluded to buying flowers. We have options for that. So in the arena on the day of, or days of this, most of this also applies to grad hunting. Um, there are folks who are selling flowers. You'll have photographers present who are taking pictures of your students, which will be available for sale if you're interested in such things. Concessions will be available on the day of. If you're hungry or thirsty, programs available. Your students will all receive a program. We will have additional programs typically, but the number of programs, like the full-size souvenir programs, is relatively limited. And so if you're super into having that kind of like big full-size commemorative program, maybe let your student know that you really like that, because they're for sure going to get one, but we may not have one for everybody. There is a flow of show that will be available for everybody. So for those of you who are just like trying to follow along and see like, hey, are we at step 10 or step 110, right? There is a flow of show that also will link you to a digital version of the program. So if you're looking for the whole shebang, that is all available online. You can scope that out, usually in advance, and then also even afterwards if you have questions or thoughts or whatever after the fact. All that available in the arena on the day of, keeping in mind that there's a ton of people. Um, the actual like sort of stated capacity of the Glazer Arena is around 7,000 people. I know somebody asked that super early in the Q&A, so I didn't forget. Um, it's 7,000 people, so there's a lot of people moving around trying to get a bag of chips or a cup of coffee or buy flowers or whatever. So just again, plan accordingly as much as you can around those events. It's totally cool if you bring flowers or whatever from the outside. We're not going to like force you to buy flowers from our vendor, but if you forget them or you were just didn't want to bring them with you, all that stuff should be available on the day of. Which I think brings us to the end of my like things you ought to know about the day of, which I think then brings us to the questions and answers part, which I assume means that we probably at the very least ought to start with the Q&A and kind of work through some
Yeah,
of the
I
things that we
I
got
had to
there.
stop sharing. I can't see the Q&A while I'm sharing, so
Oh yeah, okay. Um, let's go
all
to
right.
the beginning of this.
Yep. Oh wait.
Let's see. I
Oh,
think
that's
I'm
the
getting.
latest. Yep, I'm scrolling down.
All right, so
Uh
I'll start at the beginning. So we've got the older ones first. The presentation will be shared. It is being recorded. It can be made available afterwards if you couldn't make it. And I think we're doing another one of these, right, Mark?
we are April, I want to say 12th Don't quote me on that, but we're doing it a few days before the tassel registration deadline, so that it will be another opportunity for parents and students to hear what they need to do in case they have not yet registered. That'll be another last push, and it'll be a time where, we're closer to the ceremony itself. So if you have more specific day of questions, some of those details will have developed.
How many students are in the graduating class is actually kind of a complex number. Usually, if we talk about just folks that are going to walk on Sunday, it's plus or minus about 1,000 in the last couple of years. That, but their eligibility around graduation is a little more nuanced than like a single cohort. So I think that I'm guessing the spirit of the question is how many people probably are going to try to walk across the stage, and on Sunday it will be plus or minus about 1,000. I think I did the wheelchair accessibility thing, I hope, for everybody. If you have additional or maybe specific questions, email us if I failed to do so when I was talking before. Tickets above 8. It's not usually, I think, a bridge we cross until we know that we've gotten through the sort of 2 rounds of tickets.
Mhm.
Um, it is difficult for us. Like Mark and I won't have to go back to the earlier point about the number of people who graduate. Mark and I won't have like a true number of people we think are actually going to be present on Sunday for some time yet. As maybe silly as that sounds, like there's still some variability, things that happen, life changes, whatever, right? So we're very protective of the number because we want to make sure that we have the fairest experience for everybody that's involved. If you have a specific question or a specific number in mind, I think I would encourage you to reach out to us directly and we'll see what we can do and we'll talk about it. But we are, in terms of like our actual answer, it's that there are 2 rounds and each round has 4 tickets available for everybody. And until we know that that's enough, we assume that maybe it's not enough. Is that fair, Mark?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
Let's see. Rehearsal. Um, we've been contemplating doing sort of a rehearsal. We've had students ask us about this. Typically, the answer is no. We've not historically had a like dry run. It's hard to get like 1,000 people to do anything at once. But we have been we've been working on ways to think about it. And I think we may try to pilot some ideas this year. So for the students in attendance who are maybe like um, thinking that might be the right option for them, I think I would say stay tuned on that front and we'll see.
Yeah, I think at the very least I'm gonna try piloting a virtual walkthrough with maybe some pictures or diagrams just to try to help give students an idea of like, okay, you're gonna go here and then you're gonna sit here and this is what this looks like. So we're gonna try to offer something so they're not going in cold. Whether it's a full-on rehearsal remains to be seen.
Opportunity for those who can't travel to live stream. Yes, there's a live stream. For sure. The link will be distributed as we get closer. I think actually technically maybe the link is still live. It just doesn't have a thing on it. But the link will be distributed. There is a full scale soup to nuts live stream that will be produced during the day. And that extends to grad hooding and commencement the day before as well, if that's what you're here for. Parking and traffic, I feel like that's a horse I like tried to ride. Be kind of honest about what it's like day of. Yes, there is parking for folks who have handicap, particularly state issued like handicap placards for sure. And we'll distribute specific information, like I said, about that. The little what we're going to tell you is that it's going to be an M lot. If you don't, keep in mind that there is also a process. I don't have a state issued placard, but I kind of do need um, sort of additional access. Um, Email us. There's a process. We'll give you something to put in your dash, and then you can park in that area. We do not have a shuttle that runs between lots. There is a photographer. The bleachers are ordinary bleachers.
Oh, Jeff.
So yes.
I want to speak to the photographer piece because this gets brought
Yeah.
up. We do not actually have a photographer on stage. We actually have two sets of photographers. We have our internal crew, and they are taking action sequences of the event as it is happening. And then we have a company called Island Photography, and they are actually behind stage as part of your students' procession, they'll go across stage. Island Photography will have staff members getting a picture off. They'll be off the stage and they'll get a picture of your student while they're shaking hands with the dean. So they'll be like, below the stage getting that shot. Your student, as they exit the stage, will then be guided behind stage where they will have a portrait taken by Island Photography. Those portraits will then be available for purchase if you so choose through Island Photography's website. So it's important to distinguish the different types of photographs that will be out there. We really only take photos. Our team, the Ithaca College staff, is really only taking broader kind of vibe type photos during the day. So we'll include information on how to solicit island photography as we get closer to the day. All right, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Bleachers. Yes, they're regular bleachers. Start training now, I guess. Students allowed to stay in dorms. Yes, for the students who are still on here, if you're already on campus, um, all of this process is driven by Res Life. So if you're already on campus, there's a whole late departure process, which is more or less spelled out on their website all of the time. So if you just like Google, like I see Res Life late departure, you'll get the gist of it. Um, there's also a sort of process for students who maybe are away. They're in LA for this last semester or abroad or I don't know, whatever, somewhere else, to come back and stay in a dorm so that they can participate in senior week. Again, all that happens through Res Life. And those communications come directly to those folks from Res Life. So if you are in that camp, or if you're like an LAer who's like wondering, can I come back for senior week and stay in a dorm? Yes, Res Life will be in touch with you. Can you save seats? Yes, we'd prefer that you're cool about it. But like it will for sure happen on Sunday. So like, yes, technically, we're not gonna stop you. Previous communication did say doors open at 9, but yes, they do open at 8. Sunday, we open the doors at 8. Grad hooding, which has far fewer people on Saturday, is a different thing, but like Sunday on game day, the doors will open at 8 o'clock. How long is typical ceremony? Kind of long. A lot of stuff happens. A lot of people walk. There's a lot of things to do and say. Usually we're in the 3.5 hour-ish range. Something spectacular would probably have to happen for us to get all the way to 4. I don't know. But usually that 3 to 3.5 hours is about the right ballpark. I just did the thing about the student LA thing. Students can go back to tassel, I think, to Mark's point, as early as they want. In terms of the additional ticketing process that I think you're referencing here, we'll tell you when the additional ticketing kind of window opens, and we'll let you know. But students will have to get back into tassel to take care of business and around getting their original tickets and that stuff anyway. So I would encourage this person, if this is a student, to get back into tassel and make sure you take care of business. We'll tell you when the sort of additional ticket process opens, and if you're a parent asking the same question, make sure you tell them to do that.
Yeah, typically we open that second window within a week or two. We try to keep it closer to a week. But it's a manual process and there's a lot going on for there. But yeah, usually we try to do about a week after that April 14th deadline. But we will, as Jeff said, we will communicate the exact day, the exact time, so that they can be prepared to log in and claim those additional tickets.
there's not a reception after the ceremony. At that point, you're free to go to lunch or go to dinner or take off, do your thing. Um, when does senior week begin? Senior week is really not something like Mark and I are not like the like senior week SARS. Senior week is the preceding week. So if it's like usually it's like those events are on like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday preceding the commencement Sunday. So plan accordingly. There are some questions in the chat. I know we're kind of at time, but I got a minute if everyone else has got a minute. Cornell's graduation is not this week. Even we managed to figure out how to not graduate on the same day. Ithaca literally could not handle it if we both graduated in the same weekend. Da, 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 da. Grad Pass, yeah, we would expect in terms of the students having their QR code, it's on their phone. Almost every student typically has their phone with them anyway. Um, some students prefer to manage their Grad Pass with a paper or something that they get in advance. The vast majority of students over the last few years have just had it on their phone and then just run it across. That's kind of typically the way it goes. Uh, the alternative viewing areas are in the campus center, which is if you go out the west entrance of the arena, it's just down at the end of the sidewalk on the other end of the quad. And so in the campus center, which is where like the campus center dining hall is located, we have Ithaca Bakery, the food court are open then, so we have food available. There are and the viewing areas are actually like both upstairs and downstairs in the campus centers. There's multiple viewing areas, so you're free to like roam around the building, check it out, watch it in different locations, change it up, go somewhere else. It's usually a good experience for folks who end up in that area. Um, would I recommend taking an Uber to campus to avoid parking issues? You could. I don't, I think it might, this is just like, if it goes great for you, Debbie, if it goes great for you, then I was totally wrong and you were totally right. And like, more power to you. If I was betting, I would bet that it probably wouldn't go as smoothly as you hoped. But
Uh,
I say that and like facetiously, like if that's your plan, like if you maybe are planning on not driving or you're coming on the bus or something like that, which is totally normal. People do that. Use it. I think I would probably give advice around timing on that one. Getting there earlier probably means it would go fine. Shooting for that like early 8 a.m. doors open scenario. You can get an early Uber and get to campus before it gets completely crazy. Probably that makes sense. Um, if you're trying to take an Uber like for a 9:45 arrival, it will probably be a spectacular disaster. Just because it will just already be a mess at that point. Um,
there's not a
photographer.
huge pool of drivers in Ithaca anyways to begin with, so the demand on them will be very, very high that day.
Yep. Photographer, we do not just have like golf carts driving people around. And so the east side entrance, which has like a drive up, you can basically deliver a person who has a mobility issue right basically to the security check, and then from there they're just right into the lobby and right into the arena. So it's about as close as can be. But there is not like a golf cart brigade or whatever that will be cruising around campus. Um, Susan, students that have access to dorm rooms, I would refer you to my comments about Res Life earlier. Get with them. It's a late departure process. This is another one. I guess this is a broad, like things Jeff says. Um, like the late departure process, much like grad pass and tickets, is something that your student is going to have to drive. Your student is driving a lot of this stuff. They are the ones who are going to get communications about many of those procedures and processes. And so I would encourage the parents who are here who are worried about that to like get on them about making sure they're paying attention because they will be the ones to have to drive their own late departure process and sort of like establish that and document it with Res Life and communicate with Res Life about whatever the terms and conditions of that are. Um, the tassel link was sent to their email. It's not something they have to go get. It was sent directly to them if they were marked as eligible. So every year, every ceremony, there's maybe a few students that for one reason or another are on the fringe of eligibility. Maybe they were planning to be, but something changed. They took a different class or they went abroad or they took a gap semester, something, right? Like every student's different. And so it's not uncommon that there's a student who maybe thought they were eligible but wasn't, or are eligible but didn't think they ought to have been, or something to that effect. It's not a big deal. Usually if there's a problem, it's a easy to fix discrepancy. but it will not fix itself. They will have to communicate, like let us know if they think they should have gotten one and they didn't. We will connect them with the registrar and make sure that like everybody's on the same page. It's relatively rare that like a student just like didn't get an email. It's usually because there is some discrepancy in what they thought was the case and what maybe the registrar thought was the fact or whatever. Does that make sense, Mark? Does that sound
Yeah,
reasonable?
no, I think that's fair. But if your student claims they haven't gotten anything and they believe they are eligible, I would encourage them to check their spam or their junk folder because, that happens, and have them reach out to us. This is not a one-time invitation, right? We are sending. One of the beauties about Tassel is I can see how many of the eligible students that I sent this invitation to have completed the registration form. So I know there's approximately 400 students who have done everything they need to do. So there's another 600 or so who have not answered or done anything yet. And we're going to keep sending reminders to log in, log in, log in, do this. And if your student says they're not getting anything, have them reach out to us directly so that we can troubleshoot the why they're not seeing that.
Yes, Mikey. I have gotten that one before. You're not wrong. I don't know what else to say about that. I think we're getting to the end of the chat and the Q&A. Have I missed anything?
There's been some new ones popping up in the chat towards the bottom.
Yeah,
Uh,
Res Life. There.
my monitor was cut, but I've completed my credits. Will that still be on my diploma? That I don't, Jeff. I don't know.
No, if what is the name here? Elena. That's a registrar question. It's a fair one. I get it. I don't know. And so I would communicate. I'm sure they probably have a super simple answer. I don't think we know it.
Let's see. Trying to catch up
Uh,
on those news. The
no, it's
the
okay. Rose, thank you
presentation.
for pulling that. Rose, thank you for pulling that from the Res Life website. Like good news. Graduating seniors don't have to do anything. Just stay where you are. That's cool. I think Monday at noon. This is me riffing, but I think Monday at noon is the traditional, like you got to be out by then. So like graduation was on Sunday, so the following day, at noon is when Res Life will come along with like the big push broom and move you out.
Mhm. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any new questions or chats coming in. Remember, folks, if you do have questions that weren't answered here, you can email us at commencement@ithaca.edu. Definitely check the website because there's some easy stuff on there. And we will be doing this again in April if you come up with more questions. So, we're here to help. We're here to make this day a great one. And, communication is the key. So reach out whenever you need something. When will they ever? Uh, I wouldn't call it new info in April. It's more like we may be able to drill down into some of the more specifics around game day. But it's largely going to be a lot of the same one in case you need refreshers or something you need another opportunity to ask a more specific question to your situation. So and that is I want to say April 12th, but we will send out an email with that information. All right, I'm going to end this event. It will be on the website. Let's give it a week for reference if anybody needs to check it again and review any of this content. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thanks all.